That was honestly the worst part for me, was realizing the friends that I was losing over this, and the fact that these people didn't want to see me anymore. And it was honestly kind of shocking. So yes, definitely affected personal relationships in that way. My name is Beth. I should be in my third year studying English at King's University College, which is an affiliate of Western University. So I've completed 2 out of 4 years of my bachelor's degree. My initial reaction to the mandates was one of anger and disbelief. Honestly, I couldn't believe it had come to this. I sent a couple emails to the Dean of Students at King's, and I just was very honest, where I said, I am not disclosing my status. I desperately want to be in person class. I genuinely hated online learning. It was detrimental for me academically and my mental health. But if you really won't let me be in person, then please, can I study online? And I was told very simply that even if I was online, I would have to disclose my status. And so I simply asked, okay, how do I defer? I will leave then, because that was not something I was willing to do. And just like that, I was out of my school. I was out of a job, because I had a job on campus, and I was really just left with nothing and not knowing what to do next. I never wavered in my decision to not disclose my status. I feel it's wrong even to ask. My university has no right to know about my private medical information. It has no bearing on my ability to be in a classroom and to interact with my classmates and my professors. It just seems so absurd and unethical that I really couldn't fathom it had come to this. It's mostly, for me, it's a human rights issue. The fact that I have a right to keep medical information private, I also have a right to an education. And those two things should not contradict one another. They should coincide perfectly. And there's no reason for me to need to disclose medical information in order to go to school, or to ask, please exempt me, don't make me do this. Like, how it was kind of amazing to me that here I was on the honor roll, on the dean's list, an excellent student who loves school, and I was being told that I wasn't welcome anymore. I mean, obviously, academically, I was out of school. Realistically, at first, I thought, that's it. I'm not going back. I don't need to be an editor. I don't need this career aspiration. I just won't go back. I will figure it out on my own. I can live in other ways. And eventually I came around to, no, this is what I want. This is my dream. I'm not giving up that easily. And I have since enrolled at a fully online institution that will let me study and continue my degree. So I am managing to make up for lost time and to try and keep up academically still. And I mean, financially, I lost scholarships and OSET funding. I lost my job because I was working in the library on campus. That was my job, that was my income, and I was no longer able to do that either. Emotionally and personally, it would definitely be the biggest impact, in that realistically, finances and education are necessary. They're necessary for life, but it's your emotional state that makes life worth living. There was a lot to grieve with me losing so much all at once, and not being sure if I would be able to see these dreams through, if I would be able to go back to school and study again, even though it's something that I love. Most of my profs I never spoke to. I did have one incredibly kind professor reach out when I wasn't in school that first day, just to check on me and see how I was doing, and so that was really, really encouraging. Honestly, the hardest part for me about having to leave school was the fact that I also had to leave my university parish. I went to church there every week. I worked with campus ministry. I had friends that I considered family. I didn't think that the mandates would affect the parish, since it's not technically on campus. It's completely off campus. But I was shocked when I signed up to go to church that week and realized you had to be vaccinated to attend church. I actually reached out to our campus minister just to say, like, you won't see me at church this year because I'm not allowed to come. You've put rules in place that are keeping me out. And this person that I was so close to, I've been to their house for dinner and I genuinely considered them family. They simply said, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope to see you next year. And I haven't spoken to anyone from that group since. No one reached out to see how I was doing, why I disappeared. That was honestly the worst part for me, was realizing the friends that I was losing over this, and the fact that these people didn't want to see me anymore. And it was honestly kind of shocking. I was willing to study online. I was also clear that I did not want to study online. It is not the best way for me to learn. It is not the best for my mental health and well-being, but I was willing to compromise. And if that was all I could do, I said, please just let me study online. I just want to be in school. And I was very clearly and firmly denied that it didn't matter if I was in person or online. I had to disclose my status. I had to get an exemption. That to me was ridiculous. What threat would I be sitting at home on my computer screen? But even that was not allowed, and so I was not offered any accommodations, and I was not granted any accommodations when I asked for them. Western University has been very clear that they are not dropping their mandates. I know a lot of universities are pausing their mandates. I think it's very telling that they are pausing and not dropping. Honestly though, for me, there is no going back. I don't think people understand the hurt of being told that you are not welcome and being kicked out of school for something that has absolutely no bearing on your ability to be there and to learn. Even if Western tomorrow dropped all mandates and said I was welcome, I would not go back. I lost respect for them. I will not pay for anything there. I don't want to give them my money. I don't want a degree from them. I can't even drive past campus now without remembering the pain and the confusion that they caused me. And so there's no going back. There would have to be a lot more than just we're sorry, you can come back now, for me to even consider it. I would love to believe that things are wrapping up, life will go back to normal, and everything will be okay soon. I think that is a very naive point of view though. Even the language that universities are using when they pause mandates rather than dropping them is very clear that they are not losing this power and this ability to discriminate. And I think it won't be over until this isn't possible anymore, until it's made so that universities aren't allowed to put mandates like this in place. It's really easy for people to judge when the rhetoric these days is you are a good person if you follow the rules. I've had some people who seem a little bit shocked when they realize that I question the rules and I don't follow everything, and I've definitely had some difficult conversations, but most of the time I genuinely avoid it because it is scary and it doesn't feel worth it to jeopardize friendships, even though real discussions are more important than shallow friendships. But it's a scary conversation that unfortunately doesn't usually go well. As much as institutions should not be able to just impose mandates like this and on a whim decide what students need to disclose in order to be in the classroom, I believe that is a symptom of the fact that critical thinking is not encouraged. University professors don't, I'm not gonna say none, because I have met some beautiful, lovely professors who actually did encourage and said, think for yourselves, tell me what you think, just argue it well. And those ones were life-changing and formative. But unfortunately, in the majority of classrooms, critical thinking isn't encouraged. Most students will recognize a lowered grade if they are arguing for a side that their professor does not agree with. It's completely wrong. It's ridiculous that in this space where we're supposed to be learning and growing, and how do you do that if you can't ask questions and have an honest discussion, host a real debate? That is where my faith in institutions has truly fallen. I don't think universities understand there is no moving on for some of us. Some of us can't just let it go and go back to school and pretend it never happened. There needs to be so much more than an apology. An apology would be the starting point. If a university could recognize that it was wrong to discriminate against their students and to ask them to disclose private medical information, if they could recognize that fact and apologize for it, that would be a beautiful starting point to feel seen and heard and actually listened to. That would be a good start, but that would not be enough. I would not go back still. Honestly, I don't know what I'm looking for when it comes to retribution, but there has to be something more. You can't just say I'm sorry and pretend it never happened, and I don't think it's fair for them to expect students to do that. You can be educated outside of a university institution. You can find life in other ways, and don't bow to their will. It's not worth it. You deserve so much more, and realistically, there's more to life than your degree. Just make your own choices. And I think if enough of us do that, eventually the universities who we are paying for our educations will have to listen. The word amity to me is goodwill, it's friendship, it's tolerance, it's respect for other people, for their points of view, for the ways that they think. It's choosing to be curious about why they think that way instead of just shaming them for their thoughts. The Amity Project itself is a signal of hope. It is seeing people stand up and choose to do so with boldness and with kindness. It's honestly incredible to see people who are angry for very valid reasons, but who are choosing to stand with light and kindness and to stand up together and to stand up for human rights and for our ability to receive an education and to keep private medical information private. It's very hopeful. It's a beautiful thing.